we're looking at the games this past weekend, and I want to know some things that you think people are talking about too much in overreactions or underreactions, things that are flying under the radar. So hit me with one you got.
All right. The biggest overreaction I've seen, and this was real easy to do. College football kicked off Thursday with like 17 games and nobody really cared about. Friday was a big game that I was really interested in. Auburn boat race Baylor. They looked really good. I may talk about that here in a minute. But the biggest overreaction I see came from the first game that anybody cared about, and it was Texas versus Ohio State. And everybody got their jokes off about Arch Manning. And for me, he was the preseason Heisman. He was talked about as being the person that every NFL team should tank for. I've talked about the Saints tanking for Arch before, so I've bought into Arch as well. It was his first game as a starter in hostile territory. You had Lee Corso's final college game day in which they put him on the field. The band spelled out Corso. It put on Brutus the Buckeyes headgear for the first time. The crowd was in it. They were ready. And he did not look good. Didn't. In the most crucial down and distance of the game, 3rd and 6, with a chance to drive to go tie the game, he refused to set his feet. The game was too quick. He was sped up to 3x times what he should have been doing in his head. Didn't set his feet, missed the wide open crosser across the middle. It gets, more or less sacked to end the game on 4th down. He does not suck. Okay. Is it possible that we have expected way too much of him? Yes.
Happens all the time.
It's a fact that the disservice done to Arch Manning by making him the preseason Heisman favorite, the number 1 pick. If his name was Arch Reynolds, nobody would care.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It's the burden he has to bear because his last name is Manning. Nobody feels sorry for him. He's making a ton of money. He is a Manning. But he does not suck, and he's also probably not the answer right now. Like, he's not the cheat code right now.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like, 2 things can be true. He struggled. Julian Sayin didn't exactly look like a world beater. He wasn't expected to, but he didn't look great. But like Jared points out here, and Reese Davis said on the broadcast, defenses will look like the better unit in week 1, especially when you're playing on a road game at Columbus, Ohio, in the shoe. Like, that's a hostile place to go play. And so I think that what we saw was 2 elite defensive units. I think Texas and Ohio State are both going to finish with top 5 to 7 defenses, like total defenses in the country, alongside Clemson and LSU. More on them to come here in a minute. But I think our expectations now are a bit more realistic for a first-year starter in Arch Manning, who was the odds-on plus 650 favorite on FanDuel for the Heisman. He is now behind Jeremiah Smith, Jackson Arnold, Dante Moore, John Mateer, Klubnik, Stockton, Beck, Sellers, and Nussmeier at plus 1,800. Your new odds-on favorite being Garrett Nussmeier. I'll get there in a minute.
Gus Nedmeyer.
And for me, I want to go an underreaction. Lenore Sellers is your 2nd place Heisman Trophy favorite at plus 1,000. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman, but I think that was a gutty, gritty win for South Carolina. Virginia Tech is better than what they were last year. I think that South Carolina came in with a lot of hype. I've been hyping them up. There's been a lot of buzz around South Carolina, and they started off ugly. It was a game that South Carolina would traditionally lose. It's a game that it was ugly. It was a baseball score. It was 7-5 early in the game, and then it was 10-5, and then it was 10-8. It was just like an ugly baseball score.
Did that make you think about 3-2 Auburn and Mississippi
a little bit? I did have flashbacks. I did. I thought, like, what a weird, like, I even said in our fantasy draft, like, that's going to be an awesome scoregami at the end of this game, right? That the NFL does every year. But in the second half, they flexed their speed. Lenore Sellers looked good on a couple long runs. I think South Carolina is going to be a team to watch in the SEC. Not necessarily going to go win the SEC championship, but I do think the SEC might be a bit more open than what it has been. And I think South Carolina is going to be a team to watch as the season goes on. I don't know that they're getting enough love for what that win was. And yes, Edward, Ohio State's defensive coordinator is Matt Patricia. a former NFL defensive coordinator and head coach under Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not going to underreact to a specific team or player, but I will just be the guy. And listen, this isn't Monday show. It's not Overreaction Monday because Monday was a holiday. Overreaction Tuesday. That is kind of the name of the game. We want to overreact. We've seen one game from every team that's not Iowa State and Kansas State. But I'm going to just pump the brakes here and think about I'm going to what are we calling this? Underreact to week 1 close losses. We look at Kentucky, close win against
over Toledo.
Toledo. There, if you look at
real quick, I called that multiple times last week that Toledo was going to cover against Kentucky.
So if you look at the, I'm going to just pull up the SEC schedule here from week 1. There were some close losses. Some close wins. Oh shoot, I'm forgetting the one. Like UTSA and Texas A&M, 18-point win. But if you go back and look, Syracuse and Tennessee, 26-45. Some of these games that you expected to be massive point spreads were just close. You look at Kansas State narrowly beat North Dakota after losing in Ireland. Those typically aren't as big of a deal as you would think in the moment. If you remember last year, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. We all loved it. It was our favorite week of the year.
Yeah.
They went on to play for a national championship.
Yeah.
Oregon was in a dogfight with, was it Idaho?
Yeah, I think it was Idaho. Yeah.
Idaho bringing back the Fighting Taters or bringing the Fighting Taters helmet.
Elite helmet game.
If you haven't seen the new
I'm going to put it on the
Idaho
screen. Keep
helmet,
talking. I fixed to put it on the screen.
It says Fighting Taters in script. It's amazing. Okay.
And the graphic is grown in Idaho. And it's elite. Elite.
Yeah. So you look at these top 25 matchups and you expect week 1, it should be a massive point spread, point differential. And then sometimes they're not. I'm just going to pump the brakes on those. Sometimes you can see it like Michigan beating New Mexico by 17.
Elite.
Fighting
Taters. I mean, that's like the Vandals, but they're the Fighting Taters. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. UTSA and Texas A&M. Old Dominion and Indiana. Indiana beats Old Dominion by 13 points. Is it indicative of just a torrential, terrible season for Indiana? Maybe, but probably not, based on recent proof here.
More to come on that in just a little bit. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I agree. But you look at teams like my overreaction, and I think that this is I'm going to call this just a reaction because I think it's appropriate. Alabama's in trouble. Florida State is a good football team. They're better than what they were last year. Castellanos, I think, fits Gus Malzahn's offense about perfectly. He's a Nick Marshall-esque. He's super fast, got a decent arm, can make decent decisions, and they get him out of the pocket. But what bothered me the most about it, and I say bothered kind of loosely, but Drew, in a generation, we have not seen Alabama defensive linemen and linebackers get worked like they did in that afternoon game. I think that running backs were blowing up linebackers left and right. Alabama had no fight, no effort, no care. And so I hear what you're saying on a lot of these games. It's early season jitters. You're going to be very vanilla. Mississippi State struggled in the first half against Southern Miss, and the playbook was barely open. And so your point stands for the vast majority of these games. But then when you go out and you get punked by a guy who called his shot in the month of June, and you look that disinterested and that overmatched, the pressure's getting to Kalen DeBoer. Yeah. He was an absolute prick in his Sunday interview, and you can tell that it's starting to get to him. And Alabama fans are not known for being a very patient fan base. And so I'd like to know the FanDuel odds on how quickly a for sale sign is going up in Kalen DeBoer's front yard.